Hi, this is Andrea Fincham. Welcome to Marketing 4360. I'm new to all this video recording business, so I'm not very good at it, but I did want to check in with y'all real quick and try to get this term off to a good start. There's just a few things I want to bring up and talk to y'all about. So let me just jump right in. I want to speak first of all to discussion assignments. Um, all of our chapter assignments this term are case study oriented, and I'm asking you in them to relate the ideas that you're reading about in the chapter to a real world scenario of some kind, or a pseudo real world scenario. In other words, I want to see that you're taking the concepts that you're reading about and applying them to something else, so that you're assimilating that information. That's important to me, and I think discussion between classmates is really helpful in that process and important, and also for an online class it just helps us to get to know each other a little bit, which I think is important, so we're not all just on our own. You get to meet people and actually do get to know people in this online world. So discussion is important. So to sum up on discussion assignments, please, let's talk about what we're reading about, and please show me in your posts that you're incorporating the things you're reading about, the terms, the concepts, into your discussion. Feel free to even note page numbers from the textbook if that helps you. So enough on that. Regarding the term project, is going to require you to use some Excel spreadsheet models, analytical models, and apply some data analysis to a Dell computer case study. The models are not hard to work with. They probably are going to be new to you. I guess my best advice there is to just jump in and try to start working with them. And don't let them intimidate you. They really are not hard, and actually it's really kind of fun. I love this stuff. This analysis part of marketing is my favorite part of marketing. So I hope that you'll find it fun, and I hope that you'll learn something really when you get out of school and get out there in the real world. If you're not already there, you will have to be using Excel. You will have to be able to deal with data, and so I wanted you to have that this term as part of the experience in this class. But definitely let me know if you have questions or concerns, or you're struggling. We could spend probably 5-10 minutes together and you'd feel much better. If you're confused, please let me know. Okay. Also, if you're working with a group for the term project, you do have the opportunity to earn some extra points around the peer evaluations. I think it's a good project to work with a group on, just because if you have questions on the model, you have other classmates really to work with on it, but it's not a project that you would need to do with a group. You can certainly do it on your own. I just think it would be easier and probably more fun to work with some other people on it. So I'll leave that to you. In the week 2 folder, there is a Dropbox for a team profile form. So please do submit that, even if you're working on your own. You can find that form in the group project folder under resources in Blackboard. Okay. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your assignments this week. This is the only week where we'll have 2 chapters due. My thinking there is better up front, where it's not quite as busy as towards the end of the term, where everybody's scrambling to get everything done. So get it out of the way, and then we'll just have 1 chapter every week, and that'll be a much more manageable pace. Okay. So for chapter 1, there's a sentence in this chapter that sticks out for me. I've taught this class quite a few times, and it seems like I always have students that it just doesn't feel like it's clicking. Somehow they don't feel like they're getting it. And so I wanted to speak to that. When you're talking about new product development, really this is art as much as science. And so the entire approach of this class is to take that creative, artistic process that is new product development and think about and apply some tools to make it more objective, less subjective, more likely that you're going to be able to succeed in the process. So you'll see that there aren't really necessarily any always that there aren't always answers for everything. That's not always going to be the same approach that you need to apply, because it is an artistic process. And so get comfortable with the idea that there might not always be a right answer. And so again, back to the discussion assignments, we need to be talking about these things and kind of just thinking about, if this were you in this situation, how would you approach it? What would matter in your mind in this situation versus this one? So just be comfortable with that. That is new product management. You do have to be comfortable with some uncertainty. Okay, so enough on that. I beat that horse into the ground. That's not quite the right analogy, but it's 11 o'clock at night, so forgive me. Forgive me. Okay, so we care about new product development because it's so important. There's so much money in it, and it's so integral to a company's long-term success that companies have to care about their new product development process. Even if you're in the service industry, you want to be on the edge of what is coming up as important for your customers, or developing things that are important for them, or maybe that they don't even think are important yet, but that they would really like. And so that is the lifeblood of a company. It's just incredibly difficult to make that all happen. There's so many moving parts. There's so many different inputs, and it's just a hard process. So very fun, very dynamic, but also very difficult. So chapter 1 tries to make that point. There are some things that companies do, though, that increase their odds of being successful in developing new products. And I'll try to get this slide to change. I'm not sure why it's not. Oh, here we go. Okay, so first of all, if as a company, if you can develop a more global, innovation culture, you're going to be more likely to successfully launch new products. You have a broader worldview. You're more open to inputs from different areas and different ideas. So that's important. Being able to work cross-functionally with different kinds of people. Engineers are really different from artists, or accountants from salespeople. They're just very different personalities, and they approach things very differently. And so to make new product development work, you need everybody's input, and you need to be able to work with all those different kinds of people, and it really is can be very challenging. But if you're good at it, you get the best out of everybody, and that's so important to the process. So that's important. Being able to leverage and harness creative input, get the most out of people creatively, but also know when you need to rein it in and shut that down if it's not going where it needs to go. Sometimes you have to put the brakes on. Developing rules as a company for what works and what doesn't for you and your industry with your customers and your capabilities as a company. So that's going to be different from one company to another. Rules of thumb, heuristics for what works and what doesn't, how you make decisions as a company. And then finally, the concept of fuzzy gates. This is really an idea that you're going to maintain some flexibility in the process, so that depending on what happens along the way, you may decide to continue to go forward in the process, or you may shut it down and say, nope, we're not going to do this. Changed our mind. It's not going to work. So having that flexibility in your process to keep a fuzzy gate perspective can be really important to ultimately being successful with your new product development. Okay, so let's see here. Out of chapter 1, I'm waiting for my slide to switch. Excuse me. Really, there's just 2 major areas that need to be sure you know. There are 6 different categories of new products. So I want you to know what those are. And then I want you to know what the 3 different areas of strategic factors for the new product development process, what those are. So there's 5 phases to the product. Sorry, it's 11 o'clock at night and my body is just tired. Strategic elements of product development. So first of all, there are 5 phases of the new products development process. Um, the PIC, Product Innovation Charter, is really like a strategic roadmap that companies can um, put together to guide their teams that are responsible for new product development. It's very helpful for them to kind of know some boundaries. So we'll talk more about that in Chapter 3. And then finally, companies need to get really good about managing their portfolio of new products. There's a pipeline that you want to keep and have different products coming through at different times. So managing that portfolio is important. For Chapter 1, the Chapter 1 assignment is asking you to look at a particular company, look at their annual report, and see what you can see in there about how they are developing a global innovation culture. What are they doing that you can spot that? I want you to look for that. And then also in their hiring process, what are they doing to bring talent into their company that's really good at working in a new product development process? I want you to look for that too. Okay, so then, let's see, for Chapter 2, really there's 4 main points to this chapter. I'm just going to touch on them really quickly. Because really a lot of this chapter is just going more in depth to things that were brought up in Chapter 1. So you'll see a lot more about the steps in the process, the new product development process. The Chapter 2 will talk about the advantages and the disadvantages to speeding a product to market. Now remember, you're operating as a company in a competitive environment, and so sometimes it's a humongous advantage to be the first of your competitors to bring a new product to market. Sometimes that's an epic fail, and so it's not the smart way to go. So how do you juggle that trade-off? When do you want to versus when you don't? And if you do decide to try to speed a product to market, what are the things you can do to help that happen? So Chapter 2 talks about that some. It also brings up the point that if you have a brand new product, brand new concept that nobody has ever seen before, it's a completely new to the world product, that really changes the rules of the game. You can't use the same tactics that you can with some of the other new product categories. So the chapter speaks to that. And then finally, it talks a little bit more about serial innovators. Serial innovators are like a special breed of people that have technological capabilities. They're good on the technical side, but they understand the market so well that they're able to tune into the true need of the consumers and somehow come up with a technological innovation, somehow come up with a special new way to meet the need that others aren't seeing. So they're special in that way. And so the Chapter 2 assignment is really asking you to look at a particular company developing a particular product, happens to be a heart pump, and trace through the steps in the process, the new product development process. What are you seeing in that case study that shows you what they did at phase 1 in the process, phase 2, etc.? And for this one particular fellow that's involved in the case, is he a serial innovator? If you think so, why? Why do you think that? If you don't think so, why? I just want to have some discussion on that. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know that there's a right answer to that necessarily, depending on how you look at it or the information you have in the case. So that is the kind of an overview of Chapter 1 and 2 and the assignments there. Definitely let me know if you are having any questions at all about anything. Happy to help. I haven't had any questions this term about the book, although I did make the first 2 chapters available under the resources folder, so let me know. I'm just assuming everybody's good that way as far as getting the book, but do let me know if you have any troubles or concerns going into the term, and I'll certainly do what I can to help. Okay? Thanks. Y'all have a good night.